Do you ever feel anxious about going back out there and finding a high quality guy? Like you might even be thinking there aren't any high quality guys out there, or how do you attract somebody like that? And that whole anxious thing, what is that? What actually creates that? Well, I have a wonderful guest today, and we're going to dive right into what high quality men really want. How can you attract one of those? And how can you dial in or kind of lower the volume on that anxiety? Because that's not going to work for you and it's not going to work for them. You want to have a much more easy flow when it comes to this dating or relationship kind of thing. So let's figure out how to do this. I got Clayton Olson in the house. Hey, Clayton. Hey, Clayton. So good to have you here.
Hey, Junie. I'm excited to talk with your audience and people about this topic. I think it's an important one.
It so is. And I'll just say to my audience that I saw Clayton several months ago on a podcast and I was just blown away. Seriously, Clayton, like the depth
Mm,
of your knowledge about love and relationships, how we can do it better, how we
mm.
can do it differently. And you really have the chops. I'm just going to do a brief bio so people know who you are. So, Clayton transforms lives through the heart. As an international executive relationship coach and author, he's guided nearly 1,000 clients across 4 continents over 11 years, turning relationship pain into lasting love. Oh my God, I love that.
Mm,
Who wants to have more relationship pain? Nobody. We're done with that. It's
mm,
time to change that. So I want to just dive in with something that I've heard you mention before, which is infinite and finite thinking, and
mhm.
how that kind of or the different kind of thinking can make an impact in how we're being when it comes to ourselves and being in relationships or attracting somebody. Can you give us the lowdown of what that actually is?
Yeah. So if you've never heard of finite versus infinite thinking before, it was originally brought into consciousness by an individual, I believe. His name is James Carse. He wrote a book in the 1980s called Finite versus Infinite Games. And in it, he talks
Ah,
about two different philosophies. And these philosophies are ones where we are either focused on winning and completing a game and finishing a game, which is typically based on achieving certain external outcomes, or we're playing an infinite game, one that is much more internally sourced, where the point of the game is to keep the game going versus to complete it. And through the years of doing this type of work, when I got introduced to this concept around 2019, I believe, I started noticing that what this did is this philosophy began to articulate what I was actually doing with my clients on a level that I didn't realize. But it's helping them shift the external mile markers that people put a lot of pressure on themselves to hit in dating and relationships. Like, when is the person going to text me back? Are they attracted to me? How do I get this person to commit to me? And all of those actually bring up a lot of anxiety in people because there's a way in which we're playing a game with external markers that we don't have control over. And it's about shifting from finite into infinite, which is asking the deeper questions that are related to us becoming better people in the process of dating, becoming more hard
ooh.
open, developing a certain level of character, becoming a person that we respect, which actually shifts the locus of control from the outside to the inside. And so you could say that in the finite game, in summary, if we're playing the finite game and dating, we're tracking things like, who has the power right now? Do I have the power? Do they have the power? Am I going to be able to get the commitment, the label, the reassurance, the marriage? We're trying to focus on a finish line. Where in infinite thinking, what we're doing is we're trying to keep the connection alive and growing because it's about who you are becoming in the process the quality of love that you're co-creating with the person, the depth of your connection with yourself and with them. And it just allows one to actually relax into uncertainty with more presence and stability.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And as you're talking, I'm just hearing control, check marks,
Mm.
doing the best we can to make sure something happens versus kind of the lazy river or the roller coaster where the arms are up and you're on the journey and kind of trusting the journey. And I also think that can be a little tricky when,
Yeah.
especially for the women that are here that have been burned, that have had
Hmm.
abuse, that have had loss, that are scared that they might go down the rabbit hole again. So here are people going, okay, but this is my heart. I get it.
Yeah.
I can work on being differently or thinking differently. But at the end of the day,
Mm.
what if he's a monster or
Hmm.
what if I miss something? So
Hmm.
how do you connect the dots on that for this person who's going, yeah, well and good, but I kind of need to cover my ass on that.
Right, right, right. So how do we, so in some ways, the finite game might be being interpreted as, hey, let's be realistic here. I need to protect myself. I might get hurt. So I need to
Yeah.
have these external mile markers in place so I kind of know where I stand with things.
Mm.
And what the invitation here is not to necessarily get rid of these external mile markers completely and say that, hey, stop wanting a commitment, stop wanting reassurance, stop wondering whether the person's attracted to you. It's actually about elevating something above that, though, and making that king in terms of your focus. So you can be in an infinite mindset and still draw boundaries with somebody. You can be in an infinite mindset and still decide that the dynamic that you're in with the person is not actually serving you, and you walk away. The finite mindset, though, walks away because it's almost like a power grab, and it might be a form of manipulation, or it might be a form of, hey, I'm going to see how this person reacts to me. Where the
Mm-hmm.
infinite player perhaps walks away from a relationship because they're so deeply connected to their own values and sobriety of what they want in relationship and the quality of connection that they deserve. They're able to walk away with an open heart. They're able to walk away in
Mm.
love. So the transition here, it's not about necessarily letting go completely of it, of your standards,
Yeah.
but it's about perhaps allowing yourself to flow and enjoy the journey, and be so connected to yourself that there's an emergent quality and standard that arises that allows you to navigate with ease and have your full resourcefulness online. Because what takes away our resourcefulness when we're dating, what actually allows that has us perhaps become uh, where we make decisions that are not in the best interest of the relationship or not in the best interest of us long term, is when we're stuck in anxiety and we're making decisions from a reactive, contracted place within us. And
Yeah.
finite thinking tends to create a contraction in people because we're focused on something we can't control and we're trying to get there at all costs. In fact, a lot of self betrayal happens as a result of finite thinking. So I'll give you an example. One could be that I'm trying to get this person attracted to me, right? We're on a date and I'm trying to get to the second date, or I want this person to be more committed to me. And in that perhaps myopic focus of trying to get somebody committed to you, you end up people pleasing. You end up becoming compliant. You end up shape shifting into what you think they want rather than who you really are. And maybe
Oof.
you win the game of getting them to want you or be
But
with
is
you
that the prize you
momentarily.
actually want?
Exactly. Yeah, you get
Now
that, and
you've
then you
lowered yourself. You're lowered the volume of who you are and what you really wanted.
you got it.
You won the game, but
You
you
got it.
lost what you
You lost
really
yourself.
desiring. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Mm.
think leading with a finite mindset is far more dangerous
Yeah.
than leading with an infinite mindset. That's what I would say to the women
Yeah.
that have been hurt and might be hearing this and saying, "Wait a second,
Yeah.
how does this square with some of the pain that I've been in?"
No, I love this, and I think people do go very black and white, where it's like, well, if I do that, then this is going to happen, and that there's a sweet spot here. And as you're talking,
Mm.
I'm just feeling into that first date or the beginning of a relationship, that when people can relax and trust more
Mm.
and not betray themselves, know that they're going for the journey, being in that spaciousness of the journey together, that soft
Mm.
uncovering and learning about each other, while also having their head on straight, being able to
Yeah.
be mindful and go, that
Mm.
didn't work the way I wanted it. And being able to have that healthy discernment, you could have both. Because if you're
Yes.
in that finite, constricted, anxious place, that's that's what I see so often. And that I think is sensed by the other person, and that's where we attract what I believe is not a good fit.
Mm.
We're coming from a shadowy place of ooh I got to make sure I'm
Yep.
safe versus that spacious, relaxed, open place of the infinite. I absolutely love that, and I think both are so valuable. Um, yeah, what are you going to
Yeah.
share?
One more thing to that too is notice,
Yeah.
one way you can tell if you're in a finite mindset dating is just notice the quality experience that you have of yourself while you're dating. For
Yes.
instance, do you find dating exhausting? If you are in a place where you find dating exhausting, one might think, well, it's the context of dating, it's the person out there, it's just this, there's a new person in front of me, and that's inherently exhausting. Well, think about it. Why would that be exhausting?
Yeah.
Most of the time that's exhausting because of the presuppositions or the beliefs we have about how we are supposed to show up with that person, which is often, oh, I've got to put my best foot forward and I've got to be someone different than I authentically am. And so there's a certain amount of energy now that I'm using to hold up a mask or to perform or to people please to get this person to like me. That's what is actually exhausting, not dating. So if dating is exhausting, you might be in the finite mindset.
Yeah.
So what we're also talking about in this in the infinite is how do you actually allow dating to be something that becomes a resource where it actually fills you up and becomes a journey of intrigue and mystery and fun and exploration, still while maintaining your boundaries and keeping your standards, but something that compels and draws you into it versus
Yes.
something that you've got to put the mask on and then go out there and perform.
Absolutely. And as a shadow worker, I'm always talking about putting on the masks and taking them
Mm,
down because if two people come together on a date and they both have that mask up and wanting to look good and have all the shoulds going on in between their ears, it's not
mm,
fun. It is exhausting. Why would anyone want to do it? So I
yes,
absolutely love what you're saying. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. So,
great.
with this finite, infinite thinking, I
Mhm.
know you have some hot tips for this woman who
Yes.
wants to attract a quality man.
Yeah.
So help these women out, Clayton. You've got some hot ones there.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, great. And look, I'll just name this. So, I might not be the end all be all stone tablet holder of what is a quality man. And, this is exactly how it works. But, I do work with men and I work with women who are very deeply committed to themselves and their growth path. And
Yeah,
so, what I'm speaking to here is a way of uh, these are not necessarily tactics or strategies because we could even throw them into then, oh, now these are in the finite camp of relating to them, right? But this is actually going to be invitations to contemplate that will allow you to embody a certain way of being that is perhaps more deeply connected to your authentic self so that you can attract and be with a man who is being his authentic self as well. And that's what I would actually say is
right,
high
right.
quality is how connected is that man to himself? How aware of his own
Mm.
self is he? And can he be in connection with himself while in connection with you? So that's I want to just underscore what I'm naming as high quality.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So the first one is that, and I say a man secretly wants these things. Okay. And I'm going to say secretly because not all men might name this as an explicit desire. If you ask him, hey, what do you want? He's not going to say, hey, I want this. Um, and the reason being is a lot of men might not be able to articulate this. It might be just something that is more or less something that they would respond to positively, but they're not conscious of it. So
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of one of these. So the first one is that he wants a woman that has the ability to walk away from him. Okay. He wants a
Ooh, that
woman.
that's an interesting thing. The ability to walk away. All right, tell us more about that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So think about it. What does it presuppose? If a woman can walk away from a guy, right? What does that mean about her? What might she believe about herself in a relationship if he comes into contact with a woman who's able to walk away from him, even if there's love there, even if there's connection? Well, it means that there's a way in which she is truly standing for something in her life that might be even more important than just maintaining a connection with somebody. right? There might be a principle, there might be a value that she's honoring, there might be a value that she has within herself, there might be a line or a boundary that cannot be crossed, that will determine whether or not she gives her heart. So a woman that can walk away is connected to her value. She's connected to the inherent deep value that she brings to a relationship, and she actually gives that conditionally. It's not given unconditionally. Okay. And now,
I
yeah,
totally get it. I mean, it makes so much sense. And my take on that is when a woman can honor herself and be authentic and have her standards, one would hope a man of quality would have respect for that and know that there are boundaries, maybe not spoken, but that respect for who she's being, that's attractive.
yes,
That's how I take it.
yes, yeah, beautifully said. Exactly. That's exactly it.
Mm,
And now one can hear this, and let's just bring it back to finite versus infinite. One can hear this and they could say, okay, Clayton, so what you're saying is make sure that you let him know that you're going to walk away from him. And it's a way to gain control or to manipulate change, right? To create maybe fear or say, I've got the power, I can walk away, right? That would be the finite way of interpreting this. Let's actually
yeah.
elevate it to the infinite. The infinite is for you to actually know your worth and be willing to walk away if it's not aligned, not to punish this guy, not to prove a point, but to actually honor yourself. So, because if you can walk away, here's what it actually communicates. It communicates that if you're with him out of full choice. You're not with him because you're afraid of leaving. You're not with him because you're afraid of being alone. You're with him
Mm.
not because of obligation. You're with him because you are choosing to be there. And there's something around that that makes the fidelity and the frequency of your love much more powerful.
It just makes so much sense, and again, having to state it, if you do this, then, that
Right.
that control, the
Yep.
setting rules and having boundaries from that shadowy place coming from fear of I better let him know this, otherwise,
Hmm.
versus hey honey, we're gonna, the conversation about, let's just say fidelity, let's just say the commitment of
Hmm.
monogamy. I know my partner, both of us hold that with
Hmm.
in the sacred, like this
Mm.
is our container. And he knows he knows that that's the only thing
Yeah.
that would be like boom baby. But it's not like I
Hmm.
was like, I'm gonna punish you. It's this is where we both meet our hearts, our souls, what we want to hold, um in with reverence. And so there's the implied without the punishment. And I think that's, again, just opens up the heart even more and invites somebody in of quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wonderful. I love how you grounded that. So good.
Beautiful. I'm loving number one. What do you got for number two?
All right. Number two is he wants to experience your dark side. He wants to experience your
Oh,
dark side. A lot of men might,
mm,
they won't admit this typically. But what do I mean when I say dark side? Do I mean,
yeah.
destructive emotions where things are getting broken in the house? No, I'm not necessarily saying that, although that can come, that might be a product of somebody experiencing their dark side in
Mm,
a kind of disintegrated way that's not being held with reverence and care. But what I mean is, in some ways, one's full authenticity,
exactly.
right? Because there's often a way in which we hide that dark side of ourselves, which where might be where a lot of our truth is, because we're trying to keep things harmonious. We're trying to keep the relationship on calm waters. But in doing so, we actually become less trustworthy. So, a high quality man will know whether or not you are lying to yourself about what's happening in the relationship. And so, if there's ways in which you're biting your tongue, and suppressing yourself and not bringing all of you to the table, one, he will sense it because it will feel that there's something being hidden from him. But two, he won't really know where he stands with you, because if he's getting a bunch of yeses from you or he's hearing I'm fine, there's a way in which emotionally he's going to actually not feel completely safe, because we know that if somebody is suppressing something, it's only a matter of time before it comes out in a perhaps disproportionate way to the event that's occurring that can cause the whole thing to burn down. So he wants to experience your dark side. And the finite way of looking at this, if we are looking at it as a tactic, you might think, okay, well, the finite way is maybe I'm going to hide my anger, my shadow, or my selfishness until it bursts out destructively. And then when it bursts out destructively, I'm going to say, oh, well, you wanted my dark side. Right? It's just
There you go, mister.
yeah, here it is. I'm just being authentic. I'm just being authentic. I'm going to say it in whatever way I want to say it to you. And,
Yeah,
now you've got to deal with it and clean up the mess. Well, that's not what we're speaking to. What we're speaking to here, looking at it from the infinite lens, is to bring your full humanity, both the light and the dark of
exactly.
who you are, in a way that actually invites connection and shows trust in the relationship strength too. So when you are able to bring your authentic experience, the things that you like, that you dislike, some of the emotions that might be present for you, in a way where you can take ownership of them and not be blaming him for them necessarily, but be able to take ownership of them, you're actually indicating that you trust him enough to be able to be strong enough to stand with you in it, and that you trust the container of the relationship enough to be able to hold it. And when we operate in that way, where we are believing that about the relationship, because the relationship does not exist other than as a construct in our minds, we actually create a stronger relationship by doing things like this. Does that land?
100%. I'm just like tracking all the different things that you're
Mm,
saying. And for those of you that
yeah.
are watching on YouTube, put some comments below. Does this resonate with you? Because I'm thinking about a lot of my clients that do walk on eggshells, that
Yes.
don't want to do that again, that do
Hmm.
want to express themselves but are afraid of the repercussions.
Mm,
And ultimately, what they deeply want is that connection. They want that
mm,
healthy intimacy. And I always say, to have healthy intimacy, there's got to be into me you see, that
mm,
you're able to open in a way that they could know you and your truth and be authentic. Because if you're hiding, if you're walking on eggshells, if you're not really relaxing and being yourself, like you said, they're going to sense that something's off, that you may not be truthful, and you're
mhm,
not. I mean, that's the thing, is you're hiding your truth. And
mhm,
so when we're not able to relax and completely allow somebody to see us in all the flavors, there's something missing, and that can lead to that distrust. I mean, being somebody who's done a ton of personal growth work, I still, not anymore, I have to say, not anymore, but in the beginning
mm,
of my relationship with my
yeah.
partner, there were moments when I was feeling emotion. And in the
Mm,
past, I've been told, you're too much, or there
mm,
wasn't a place for me to land as a woman in the
mm,
relationship, because they had their version of too muchness, or what a woman should be like, or whatever their story was.
mm,
And so on some level, I had programming that said, don't share too much, don't be too vulnerable, because they might think X, Y, and Z. But that's not how I play. I mean, I take a stand for full authentic expression, and knowing how to
mm,
do it in a way that's not coming out sideways, not shadowy. And there
mm,
were times in the beginning of our relationship where I did share vulnerably. It was a little uncomfortable, but I still did it because I take a stand for that. And
yeah.
I had to talk to my partner about that so that I could actually know I was safe. And
Mm,
in our communication, like, I'm feeling a lot. Is this a good time to share this with you? Or how was that for you when I shared that with you? And what I got was, and he is a high quality guy, and you
mhm,
know him, Michael
I do.
Mendreville. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
he was like, are you kidding me? That was beautiful. I love you even
Mm,
more. I can hold the space for you. I see your beauty, your authenticity. Like, bring it on. And so
mhm,
it's challenging when we've gotten messages from our past that have put things into shadow, like our full exuberance or our light. And
yeah.
that's where this kind of work, especially the shadow work, can come in, where people can go, wait a second, if I truly want that deep connection, I
Mhm,
must learn how to open and allow that person in, and then the trust builds. And I will add one more thing, which
mhm,
is, I truly believe that whichever partner opens, the more authentic you are, the more you can allow yourself to be in that fullness and richness. It gives permission to the other person to go, oh, I can do this too. I
mhm.
can share deeply too. Look how vulnerable they're being. And then party on, because then you both start sharing and you're in it together.
Yeah. Yeah. I I knew you were going to want to riff on this one, given your background with shadow work. And
Yeah, yeah.
I want to get your opinion on this one too, just if we're
Yeah.
going to open this up, because I do think it's such a big deal.
Hmm.
It's such a big deal, especially with the women that I work with. A lot of the women I work with are high achievers, high performers. There's ways in which they just know how to get stuff done. And then in relationship, there's often a way in which there's a hesitation and a habit of not actually bringing the darkness in, because there's something about it that might not feel like it's going to be effective, or what am I trying to accomplish here? I don't want to dump on him. And I'd love to hear what you think about when you talking about sharing with Michael. Like, how did you do it in a way that wasn't shadowy versus that is shadow? And I would say, just my 2 cents here is proper framing up front. And so being able to have a conversation in the beginning, maybe where you just foreshadow and say, hey, listen, so I want to bring a couple things up, and what I'm actually looking for in this, and what I need is just for you to listen, and
Yeah.
nothing needs to be solved right now. So I'm going to talk about a few things, but I want you to know, just you listening is enough. There's no solution I'm looking for. You don't need to worry about saving me. I can handle this. I've got it.
Oh, that's so
And
amazing. Yeah.
right, and then naming it. And the other piece too is also respecting proper timing. So it might be in that beginning, just having a conversation saying, hey, I've got some stuff that I want to share, and just get off my chest and be held. Is now a good time, right? Or maybe in a half hour.
Exactly.
So just, you're also being relational with the person in front of you around, are they resource enough to actually hold presence for me in the midst of this? And then one more thing is, as one's sharing, I would imagine too, also being able to take ownership of your emotional state. So saying things like, here's how I feel,
Yeah.
right? And if you are going to say anything about the other person, saying something to the effect of, I have a story in my mind that you're thinking this way, or you did something this way, and that was your intention, but I don't know. It's just my story. I'd love to hear your point of view. And this is all about being in relationship with someone's nervous
Yeah.
system so that they stay receptive. So I'm curious just if there's
Oh
anything
my
else
God,
you'd
there's
add
so
to
much
that, or
there. There's so
yeah,
much there. Oh my God.
please.
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, I when you said foreshadow, it was the first time I like took that word and went right before the shadow. Um,
Oh, beautiful. Love it.
right?
Nice.
It just like
Yeah.
popped out for the first time in my life. That was like so cool.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, we want to feel safe.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways to feel safe is to do some pre-work, to have
Hmm.
conversations before the conversation in
Hmm.
relationship, to be able to go, hey, there are times when I might have my moments, and I certainly
Hmm.
do, and my mini storms, and how might we do this, and how will you be with this, and I'll tell you right now, you don't have to fix me, you just have to listen, and
Hmm.
even just before the storm, or even if you're having the storm, to say exactly that, like, is this a good time? Because I'm in it right now, and I just need you to hold the space for me. You don't have to fix me. You just need to really just listen. Dang, you don't even have to remember what I'm saying. I just need somebody to hold the place. I remember
Hmm.
Tony Robbins talking about that. Like, there's the storm. I'm holding the space, and yeah, and guys, and this is Tony, and guys, you don't have to remember a thing. You just have to be there, and then the storm is over, and then she loves you for just holding the space. So as a woman, having that sacred space, that container where he doesn't interrupt me and he just is listening, but I've set the tone for that. That creates safety for me and for him. It takes him off the hook. He doesn't have to feel like he has to do anything about it. It's like, wow, that's so
Hmm.
great. So setting the tone for that, for sure. Just thinking, you laid down
Hmm.
so many different things there. Yes, how to talk to somebody. I mean, that's one of the big modules in my year-long program, or if
Hmm.
with my clients, it's like, how do you share from your perspective and not throwing somebody under the bus? You want somebody to really listen to you. Then you don't want to point a finger and say, you idiot, what were you thinking? Versus, when this happened and you said this, it had me feel this.
Hmm.
And the story I tell myself, for what it seems like, is this is kind of my judgment. Can we do this differently, or can we have a conversation about it? So how we
Hmm.
take self-responsibility, like you said, and that is like huge. And then it comes back to, do we know ourselves? Can
Hmm.
we hold ourselves? Can we hear the person going, I need to eat some food right now. I want to hold the space for you. And you being able to have that resourcefulness to be able to go, yeah, I can, or I'm going to go to my room
Hmm.
and, you know, cry in my pillow, but I'm okay. So
Hmm.
we're both adults to be able to come to this place as adults and not from the shadowy past or the programming,
Hmm.
and to be able to come together and connect in that way. Did that
Hmm.
answer some of the things that
Hmm.
you shared?
Yeah, I think we both took some beautiful breath strokes in that. Yeah, that's
Yes,
lovely.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it just gives a lot of permission to realize that you get to design the communication and the relationship and
Yes.
set the stage for these natural human things to happen in a way that can actually minimize damage to the relationship and end up being a portal to deeper intimacy versus something that is
Absolutely.
taken away from that, which is how most people, I think, unconsciously relate to authentic sharing of one's emotions that are uncomfortable. Yeah.
Right, versus, "Don't you know I had a hard day? Didn't you
Mm.
see that I was in distress?" Like, sometimes
Mhm.
people don't get the cues. This is where we
Yes.
learn each other. This is where we really do have that intimacy and we build a relationship. So again, that comes from being authentic and sharing and
Yeah.
knowing how to have those conversations. And even
Yeah.
just when we were talking about infinite and finite, I'm just thinking
Mm.
even those tricky conversations, they're
Mhm.
the finite might be setting the stage where it's like, this is what I need. This is what's going on
Mhm.
inside of me. I need to have this
Mhm.
container where you hold me. And then the
Mhm.
infinite spaciousness of, and now I get to be held and just get to glide and
Mhm.
open
Mhm.
with deep support from my partner.
Mhm.
So it like this is the beauty of relationship. And these are some of the tools that most people have not been taught. And thankfully, there's you and there's me and other modalities out there to help people have these.
Right.
So let's go into number three, how to attract a high quality guy and maybe lower the volume of anxiety.
And the third one is that he wants to be challenged. He wants to be challenged by you, whether he says it or not. A high quality man wants to be challenged. He wants to be able to find pathways to grow into a better person while he's with you. And what this might look like from the finite lens is you might think, okay, well, I'm going to criticize him or I'm going to complain about something, and maybe I'm going to withhold love until he changes. And then what ends up happening is a challenge actually feels like an attack, and it often triggers defensiveness and a power struggle versus an inspiration. So the infinite, though, challenges from a place of love. They challenge from a belief in this man's potential, and they frame it as collaboration and alignment with his own vision. So if there's something that he's wanting and there's a way in which you see him sabotaging himself, there's a way that you bring that to him from a place of love and deep belief in him that he doesn't need saving, right? That he doesn't need to be shamed for it, but just bringing something to his attention to see if he's aware of it. And for him to also figure out the solution of what he wants to do with that information. Because there's a real beauty that I believe the feminine relationship offers a man, which is this: there's things that women can see that I just think men cannot. I think there's an awareness and an ability to see through things and see into people and detect for incongruencies, and it's a real deep superpower. And if you're withholding that from a guy and not really bringing these places where you see his capacity to grow, there's something he's getting denied of being in relationship with you. And the
Yeah.
key is just to be bringing it from a place of deep belief within him. And also knowing, too, that the more that you can acknowledge the things that he's already doing that are so lovely and impactful on your life, there's just so much more safety for him to also then take the feedback and to be taught by you in some ways how to be more present, how to be more in integrity, how to be more of a man of his word and follow through, and how to win with you specifically. So challenging a guy is key. And from a finite place, it looks like playing a power game. And from an infinite place, it looks like really aligning with a deeper vision that the both of you are champions for as you move towards that.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautifully said, and it reminds me. Just recently, there was something I was noticing in Michael, and I won't be specific because it's private,
Sure.
but I really sat with it, and I really needed to make sure that it wasn't any of my stuff that I would be
Mm.
projecting onto him. So that was the first thing I really wanted to make sure I was clean about it. And
Yeah.
then I said, again, I have something I want to share with you. And I was nervous about it. I'll be honest with you, because it was going to be a challenge. And to your point, it was a challenge to his greatness, where I saw there was a potential blind spot on his side. And it went so beautifully. I was nervous, and we actually did a whole process around it, and it brought us closer. And again, it was me championing what I saw in him, and not saying anything in a bad way or throwing him under the bus in any way, but noticing something and wanting to support that in my love, for him, with him. And it
Mm.
really, and he totally was so grateful, because it was a beautiful, and even the word challenge, I think as a woman, in general, I don't think we like the word challenge,
Uh,
because it seems very like conflict, like, like,
uh-huh.
I'm going to challenge you to a duel,
Mm.
women, I think, are more like, how do I support my man,
Mm.
and yet from your perspective, I'm sensing, and from that support, they get challenged. And
Mm.
so this container that we built, I mean, it helped put more wind beneath his wings, because I shined a light on a potential blind spot. So I think it really is about that in so many ways. And I know, as a woman within my relationship, we both champion each other, and we both get to rise together, and we are building this beautiful life together, not
Mm.
by checking the boxes and being scared of what may or may not
Mm.
happen, but what can we co-create, and how are we being along the way. So I love that, because I really dropped into being the support for him, being the visionary of what I see
Mhm.
for him that maybe he wasn't seeing for himself. I really,
Yeah.
yeah, I dig what you said.
Yeah, beautiful. I love how you're just relating it to your personal life and just the places where you can see it really being applicable, because I think it lands it for the women that this is totally possible. And I think there's a really important piece here. You're talking about both of you being champions for the relationship. And I just want to name, as we kind of bring this conversation around the corner here, is that, uh, this, all of the things that we mentioned, it's a two-way street. So it's not even just related
Right.
to men, it's related to everybody, people in general. I know that with my wife and I, we both challenge each other. There's a way in which we both want both of us to be at choice in the relationship. We don't want anybody to be stuck in something out of obligation.
Yeah.
And we also, I really want her authenticity, and I know she really wants my authenticity, because that just makes our relationship so much more powerful, and it hits all of the chords of music, which allow the relationship to really sing versus just a couple. So the two-way street piece is, I think, really important here. That this is just, these are in some ways lessons in what it is to be in relationship with another human.
Absolutely. And again, for anybody watching, if you have any comments or shares around this, please put it in the comments below. I think
Mm.
one of the biggest things I'm getting out of our conversation is really underlying, be you. Be
Mm.
you. Drop the hiding, drop the masks, really allow yourself to be seen. And if that's uncomfortable, revealing who you are, or if you find yourself being more in the finite, then I encourage you to get some support, because it is so freeing. I mean, I was in a 20-year marriage, walking
Mm.
on eggshells, not expressing myself, being
Mm.
so careful with everything I did and said, and it crushed me. And I gained 50 pounds, and I was just
Wow.
miserable. Yeah. And all I can say is that when you could just relax and be yourself, and know that you have yourself, and you have your own back, and then you could open
Mm.
consciously with your heart with another, you get the whole thing. You get the whole deep dive, and you get a partner that can really see you and love you for
Mm.
who you are. I mean, what could be better than that?
Mm.
I don't know if there's anything better than that. That's as good as it's gotten for me so far. um,
Mm.
I know you have a gift that you want to share, and it's an awesome gift. You want to let them know about it?
Sure. Yeah, I've got a PDF that I've created called the Secure Relationship Blueprint. And so if you're somebody who's watching this right now and you are feeling that there is an unnecessary amount of anxiety in your life when you think about relationship, when you are in relationship with the idea of relationship, you're out on dates and you're noticing yourself slipping into this finite mindset. Look, I know that us talking about it in some ways, we're pointing to the top of the mountain. And doing the work in this to actually live more in the infinite is learning how to actually go in a deep identity level and start to switch the core beliefs and the core narratives that are often unconscious that we have us showing up in a finite way. And that's the work that I do. And this guide is a uh, quick intro to just some of the beliefs that one might have in their life that are all the time, oftentimes, they're silent. You can't even actually see them until they're in front of you. And so check out this guide. It's the five beliefs that create insecure love, and then the counter belief that begins to create the secure love. So check it out. I think it'll be very valuable for you if you have any anxiety.
Oh my God, I'm sure it's filled with golden nuggets, just like this conversation we just had.
Yeah.
The link will be in the show notes. Definitely grab it. Clayton, you blow me away every single
Mm,
time I hear you. The depth of your knowledge, how you convey these ideas. I just think you're amazing. Thanks so much for
mm.
your time
Thank you,
today.
Jenny. Yeah, it was great talking with you. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it and the energy and the stories. Yeah, it made it
Mm.
easy.
Oh, so good,
Yeah.
so good. All right, everyone, that's our episode for today. Stay tuned for the next one. Be well. One more thing before you go. Have you taken my Discover Your Love Avatar quiz? It's a 2-minute quiz that can help you not only know your strengths, your superpower because you have one, also identify some of your blind spots, some of the things that might be having you in your fear, having you behaving in ways that aren't in alignment with your highest self, the way you want to be when it comes to dating and relationships. And it'll also help you discover why maybe the stars haven't lined up for you yet. Bottom line is, you take this 2-minute quiz, you get a full report in your email with details on how to move forward in next level love, whether you want a partner or not. So you can go to midlifeloveoutloud.com/love quiz. The link is in the show notes as well. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the station, I'm going to encourage you to do that too, so you don't miss any episodes. And I hope you got a ton out of today's. See you next week. Mwah.